He has no muscles, and he's flexing. And I'm like, this is the most entertaining thing you could ever watch.
Wemby versus Chet. Whoa.
So we are recording this at halftime of the Oklahoma City versus San Antonio preseason basketball game. We had communicated earlier in the day and said that they were going to be on NBA TV. And so why don't we just watch the first half, and that way we'll at least be able to comment on it after seeing these two against each other in NBA uniforms for the first time. And they're two big draws. Obviously, Chet not playing his rookie year last year. Wemby, the number one pick overall, and box office attraction, to say the least. And my God, I don't know how many of our how much of our audience watch this. You need to go back and at least pull up on YouTube like the highlights from this. That half just got done, and it was so much more than we could have ever bargained for. At halftime, it is 81-74 Spurs. The Spurs scored 43 points in the first quarter of a preseason game, their first preseason game, which is more points than they scored in any quarter all last season or preseason. Their highest score was 42. In the second quarter, the Thunder scored 44 in the quarter, which gave us an 81-74 halftime score, with Chet Holmgren having 21 points and 9 rebounds, and Victor Wembanyama having 18 points and 3 rebounds. And, you know, the announcers were talking about how this could be a thing that we see for years to come. You obviously pray for health for both of these players, especially given their grotesque size and the inability for many that size to have, you know, great health and be able to play 82 games on a regular. But good grief, Kev, when you look at these two, and I'm thinking about this upcoming season, and I'm thinking about these league pass nights and going out of your way to check teams out, the level of entertainment just watching those two on the same court and be so far beyond any expectation you could have. I mean, I know defense is not at a premium, but both of them are so damn good to be on an NBA preseason court even for the first time. It's not common. You don't see guys just come out there and do what they were doing, even in that first half. And it got me so excited about both of them and both of those teams for this upcoming year, because we are going to have two to truly go out of our way to check out.
And already they're doing it in different ways.
Oh,
because we're seeing both of them in the first half have hit a pair of 3-pointers. One of the threes that Wemby hit was coming off of a handoff where he's like running from the right corner towards the middle of the 3-point line, takes the handoff, sidestep dribbles into this kind of fadeaway 3-pointer. Like unstoppable. If a guy of that size is doing that, we're seeing them both attack from the perimeter, like doing these crazy moves, using their crazy.
It's like the future.
Yes.
It's the future.
It's alien
like
versus alien.
Yes, and both of them flexed multiple times, like with the drive to the basket. And at one point, Wemby headbutted Chet Holmgren on his drive and got the and one. And on the other end, Chet just bodied Zach Collins, goes to the basket, lays it in, and then he's beautiful. Flexing. He has no muscles, and he's flexing. And I'm like, this is the most entertaining thing you could ever watch. The Wemby thing, the crossover drive, and then obviously the pull-up sidestep 3. Like, all I was thinking about was that meme and how many times it's going to be used this year when people see him for the first time. The chick on the airplane that's like, I'm telling you. Not real. He's not real. Like, that's what it felt like. Like, how is this even? It doesn't even. I'm watching it, and I know it sounds over the top, but people got to see this to believe it.
It's not over the top. It's not over the top at all. I mean, that's why we can't talk about it without like laughing in the middle of our sentences. It's just unbelievable to actually look at this and be like, oh my goodness, it's actually happening. This is actually real. These guys are actually doing these crazy things on the court.
Well, and everybody's been trying to tamp down expectations. You know, like, oh, he's probably not like, I'm like, how is he not going to score? Like, I'm trying to figure out how he doesn't score. His first bucket, he tipped in a missed free throw where he just reached over Chet Holmgren. Chet Holmgren's like 7'1". He just reached over him and tipped it in like a dad playing against his kid on a mini goal. It was ridiculous. I'm like, how's he not supposed to score?
This isn't even really like the new Tim Duncan versus Kevin Garnett. This is kind of like evolutionary Kevin Garnett versus evolutionary Kevin Garnett. That's what this is. I mean, like these two tall, lanky, skilled 7-footers who can do everything on the floor. And they're on two teams that clearly already Greg Popovich using Victor Wembanyama in unique ways. Mark Daigneault with the Thunder using Chet Holmgren, leaning into his playmaking and his handling. Two really great coaches, understanding the talents that they have, surrounded by great young teammates. Like those KG teams back in the day versus Tim Duncan, the Wolves like had some good years, but they, for the most part, they had a lot of down years. The Thunder are loaded. Jalen Williams, we're not even seeing Shai Gilgeous-Alexander tonight. Josh Giddey out there. So much talent in the Spurs. Devin Vassell. I really like Malachi Branham. There's both talent on both these teams. Like, I mean, I had the Thunder, I forget where on my power rankings last week, 14, 13, something like that. Top 15. The Spurs, if Wemby, it's only one half of basketball. It's only one half. But I mean, Wemby's a game changer on defense. We didn't even talk about the block he had on Jalen Williams in the first quarter. Jalen Williams, smaller, quicker. He was a Rookie of the Year candidate. He looks like he beats Wemby for a layup at the rim, but then Wemby recovers because he's so long. He can be 5 feet away from you and still block your shot. There's going to be a lot of that this year where a guy thinks he beat Wemby, but then his shot is getting blocked.
No, they're switched off onto – they try to get him out on an island. Obviously, you do the switch you try to get the small on the big. And even you saw at the very last possession of the half, Jalen Williams got that switch, and so now it's him versus Wemby. And it's in that case, many guys do drive to the basket, and you saw him just do the ultra step back three. Like, I'm going to be so far away from you that you can't block it, and that's going to be my mode of operation in this. But people would have to see it to believe it. We know it's preseason, but there is no question. Putting the ball in the bucket is putting the ball in the bucket. And both those guys, it's hard to imagine. Like, I go to preseason games and then 41 regular season games a year, including playoffs. And the level of defense played in a regular season basketball game is not so stringent that these guys are not going to be able to get buckets. I'm sorry. Like, and I don't care who they're playing against. They are matchup nightmares. And I think if you're Gilgeous-Alexander, you're probably sitting back watching that like, all right, I'm going to throw him the ball a little more. Like, this guy can get buckets for me. And obviously Giddey is feeding him. Like, you tune in to see Wemby and you walk away going, damn, Chet. Like, he was the one that we didn't see last year. And here we go again with Sam Presti. You know, if he nailed that Chet pick, he obviously nailed the Jalen Williams pick. The Gilgeous-Alexander trade just looks unbelievable, and getting him signed up long term, and then convincing him to go through this short rebuild. The Giddey pick nailed, and it's like, this is some serious young talent, and again, the team on the other side's got some serious young talent as well, and you're just watching these two. You know, I think maybe Oklahoma City's a little further along than the Spurs are in the development, but future is certainly insanely bright for both of those franchises. And they are, nobody's walking over either of them on a regular, Tuesday night where the last, certainly the Thunder were very competitive last year, but the Spurs were one of those that people, just chalked up as a win. Didn't really matter, but there's really, I don't even know who's going to be truly bad. I think Portland's going to be catching people.
Dude,
Houston obviously is much better than they were last year. I don't think obviously there's going to be some teams in the Western or in the Eastern Conference.
The Wizards could be bad. They're like the one team that I look at and I'm like, yeah, they're going to really stink. Yeah,
and I'll get to a team in a little bit, that I'm a little worried about. But honestly, when you look up and down it, it's like if San Antonio's super competitive and if Oklahoma City is as good as we think they're going to be, and you kind of look at Portland and Utah was like the story of the NBA last year, fighting for a damn play-in spot when they had no business, according to anybody, doing that. And Portland, you look at their roster, I mean, they're not going to win a ton of games, but they're certainly they got enough talent to be able to catch you on the night that you take them, lightly. So this Western Conference is going to be a bloodbath if these two, have this kind of talent, the Spurs and the Thunder.